So there's a lot of talk about, oh, I used to be a player or a man whore, or I used to sleep around and be really promiscuous, and then I got married. Okay. And that stopped that? No. That masked that, or it put a lampshade on it, if you will, covered it under a lid. Maybe it's percolating and it's about to blow really quickly. But that's a lot of willpower that doesn't play out in a pattern of consistency until maybe you hit that mark where it's like, I'm going to have a mental breakdown or a midlife crisis. It tends to appear then. But we don't just decide to walk down the aisle and come into a covenant relationship with somebody to then say, oh, I'm not going to sleep around anymore, because that doesn't cure us. Do you know how many people have gotten married at a young age to get out of an abusive household that they grew up in? Do you know how that plays out then in their relationship? So all of these things have to be backed all the way up to what did we live through when we were kids that had us act out in a promiscuous way or become so sad within that we look for love in all the wrong places. We don't get satisfied. We maybe even hang on to somebody before we would let them go. And then we, latch on to somebody else, and then we see how that works. And if that doesn't work, then we're going to jump on over here. Believe me, this is a human condition, and it's one that can be apprehended, but it has to be looked at. So for however many years it took to build up that wall of protection through relationship hopping or jumping into bed with somebody, it's going to take all the same amount of time to unbuild that wall and take it down brick by brick. And that is the source of recovery that most people don't want to acknowledge or talk about. It's easier to just say, oh, well, you know what, that was spiritual. And that happens a lot. There's a lot of people that are like, well, you know what, the devil made me do it. Okay, well, let's move the devil out of the way. Let's say you go through deliverance and now the demon's gone. You just have to really turn that back to you again, because the issue is an inner healing one. So on the level that we have operated from a prude, which means we're masking the promiscuity piece, right? They're still both the same issue. And they feed a lot of the same things that food would. So whenever we starve out one thing, the other one is going to trail behind. So if it's, I'm going to binge on food, then I most likely, can put sex on the back burner. But if I'm really geared up for, having some sex, then food isn't so much of a problem. That's because they follow the same loop of shame and guilt. Because when we give into something, we have to come in all the harder with these other parts that would say, you did something wrong, so now we have to correct your behavior. And then we have that overcorrection. So from all the times that we've gone from prude to promiscuous and everything in between, hooking up with somebody else because they've got strengths where we've got weaknesses isn't going to fix us. And getting together with this person because they are so positive and they don't have the same problems that we do, that won't fix us either. It's going to be an introspection that takes place inside our heart to know why it is we do what we do.